Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the first fertility yoga session of the new year. If you haven't joined us before, my name's Emily. I'm from the Fertility Network team. And before I pass over to our lovely instructor, Annie, I'll just go through our usual disclaimers. Please remember that when practicing yoga online, it's up to the individual to assess whether they are ready for the class that they have chosen. If you suffer from specific injuries or disease, it's best to consult with your doctor first. Practice of yoga requires you, the practitioner, to gauge the safety of your practice within your own personal physical limitations. It's better to build up slowly rather than to force and strain, and whilst you may feel exertion, you should also feel relaxed. The techniques and suggestions presented in this webinar are not intended to substitute for proper medical advice. You should always consult your doctor before beginning any new exercise program. Neither Fertility Network nor Annie Perry assume responsibility for any injuries suffered during these practices. So with that being said, I'll pass over to Annie. Do let her know if the sound is okay. I think we've got one participant who can't hear me, but that might be my voice. So
I'm sure it'll be fine. Let's see. Can't hear you. Sound okay for me. Perfect.
Okay. Hopefully it's just me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool. Thanks very much. Thank you, Emily. Take care. Hi, everybody. How are we all doing? Feels like an absolute age, doesn't it, since we were last here? Has been ages, hasn't it? What did we do? We were 17th of December, weren't we? So, gosh, it must be nearly a month. So I hope you've all been okay. I hope everything's all right with you in terms of your fertility treatment and things. Someone's asking me a question. Oh, thank you. Happy New Year to you guys. So I don't know if you've noticed my nice new backdrop. Thought I would just change things. Well, actually, it was a Christmas present from my husband. And it is beautiful phases of the moon. Now, you may think that's just because it looks pretty, but actually, it's really not. I really love the moon. I really love its significance for women in terms of their menstruation. You know, if you think about the cycle of the moon, around 29.5 days, pretty similar to the menstruation of women in the cycle that a woman or a menstruating person goes through. And very clear stages really reflect how we should act and behave at different parts of our cycle, because we're so dictated by hormones as women, and it really does dictate our lives. Whether or not you're aware of that or not, but if you start to become really aware of it, it can really be a real positive thing in your life. As an example, sort of, so like the dark side of the moon, going to where you can hardly see any of the moon, so it's a very dark time, a time of retreat, that would sort of be akin to a time of menstruation, where we need to be so respectful of our bodies and very take things very slow, and be very kind to ourselves. So think about that if you are just now in terms of a yoga practice. The full moon would be sort of akin to a time of ovulation, where energies are at its peak. So we do have more energy for things, estrogen at its peak, so that can be reflected in how we go about our lives, and in terms of how our yoga practice be a bit more energized. So I try and give you little cues for that in terms of the practice. I should say welcome if you've never been with me before. You're more than welcome, and it's really nice to have new people joining every week, but I know a lot of you log on quite frequently, which is lovely as well. So I do try and give you cues throughout the practice to say, if you are menstruating, don't do this, don't do that. I also try and give you cues if you're on treatment just now, if you're on stims, if you had a transfer. So I try and give you cues for that. And we're just going to try and take it, I think we should take it a little bit easy tonight, because I don't know about you, but I've not really done a massive amount of yoga over the Christmas break. In terms of the physical yoga, I've needed a lot of meditation, but not the physical part. So we're just going to really warm the muscles quite slowly, take things really good, but go quite deep. It's not to say we're not doing good stuff for your endocrine system and your menstruation your menstrual system. Okay, so right, I think I'm going to get cracking. What I'm going to do is just quickly see if there's any questions, because there usually is somebody with a wee question. Hiya. New to yoga? Well, listen, do not worry. I really, honestly, guys, this is not, so someone said they're trying to keep up. So yoga is not a fitness class, right? This is not going to the gym and trying your best to look at what someone else is doing to try and keep up. Yoga is about you, okay? It's about you're coming to this mat as you are. In fact, I did a class on Monday night with one of my women's yoga classes, and I did the theme as come as you are. I want you to come as your own perfect self to the mat. We're not judging ourselves, we're not judging what we can do. This is your practice, it's your yoga practice, not mine. So I'm going to demonstrate the moves, but if it doesn't look like that in your body, then that's totally fine. And remember, all of us are at different stages of menstrual cycles. All of us, perhaps some of you are on treatments at the moment. All of us are in different moods. You know, lockdown's affecting us differently in this particular day. So listen, let's just really use this time as ultimately massive self-care. It is so important, especially now. Okay, so we're going to start, we always start, so for the newbies, we're always starting, the class follows similar pattern every week. We always do what's called a pranayama, which is a breathing technique. One of the real key facets of yoga is breathing and using the breath to infuse the body. Quite often we just cut about life, breathing dead shallow, and we breathe quite deep here. Then we do our yoga postures, and then we do a deep meditation and relaxation at the end. And try your very best not to skip that out. I've been guilty of that in the past, where you think, oh, I don't really have time to sit still and do nothing. That is where we consolidate the practice. This is where, when you've moved your body, you just let everything settle down, and you'll gain so much from the meditation and the relaxation at the end. Okay, so get yourselves into a cross-legged position. I'll just quickly check any more questions. I'm not sure if this recording will be shared, but they are going to try and share some of them. I have seen that someone's asking about embryo transfer. So if it's if it's been within the last 48 hours, I would kind of ask that you don't do the physical practice. Okay, let's just take it really easy. Do the relaxation, do the meditation at the end. Okay, that's what I always say. 48 hours after embryo transfer, and I wish you all the very, very best with that. Okay, so sorry, I've seen you've asked that twice. So if you just really, really take it easy, okay, and don't do much of the physical parts, all right? Just lots of breathing for you, lots of relaxation, lots of good positive thinking. Right, let's get cracking. So I'm going to ask you, if you have got a pillow handy, to bring it and use it like a wee cushion like this off your couch. Don't worry, or a pillow off your bed. Don't worry if you don't have one. I would be surprised if you don't. My house is full of pillows. I'm sure most of you guys is too. And what I'm going to ask you to do is sit on the edge of it with your bum on the edge of it. And the reason I want you to do that is just feel what that feels like sitting in a cross-legged position when you perch on the edge of it, or maybe just slightly in from it. This one's quite a soft one, because it lifts up with the pelvis. Okay, so the pelvis, feel for your little hip bones and just lift up, and this pillow gives you a nice little lift. And then what we're going to do is rock the pelvis as well after we settle down. So that's what the pillow is for. All right, okay, we need a few breaths, don't we? I feel like I've been rattling on, and we just want to do some yoga. And I've got this massive cardigan on because it is Baltic here. I hope you're warmer where you are. Okay, so what I want you to do is close your eyes and listen to the breath in the body. So with yogic breath, it tends to be most of the breathing techniques are in and out through the nose. Okay, So I want you to notice that now, feeling the breath move in and out. And it might not be deep just now. It might be that really shallow breath. It's likely to be, if I'm honest. Mine's definitely is, because I've not stopped all day. Then we use the breath to just sense into the body, okay? So how are you feeling today? Ask yourself these questions. How do you feel? And don't answer like you would answer your neighbour asking you and you would say fine. This is just you on your mat now, so be completely honest with yourself. Let's just a little focus on the physical body. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze, I think. A little focus on the physical. So now we've really checked in with the pelvis, so it should be nice and lifted, and then lifting the pelvis like that really helps lift the spine. That's what we want. We want a beautiful straight spine, a really open chest, and shoulders that just melt down. Okay, so hopefully our breath has moved slower. And now we are going to begin the process of directing the breath somewhere in the body. And you can probably guess where I want you to send your breath. It's down into your womb space. So down into the lower belly. That's associated with a chakra in yoga. It's the second chakra, and it is called the Sacral Chakra. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do, is nourish the body. So by doing that, what I mean is we're just doing a really simple, soft belly breath. So instead of breathing into the chest and expanding the lungs, that will happen anyway. We're going to move it to a deep belly breath. So if it helps you really connect with that area, we are going to bring our hands onto our bellies, onto our wombs. That transfer of your hands onto your womb really helps you feel this. So we want big inhales that inflate the belly, and you'll feel your hands physically move away, and then a gentle exhale that draws it back in. Okay, so we're really tuning in with this area of the body, and you can start to ask yourself, I know you guys are probably properly on it where you are in your cycle. But we want to go deeper than that. You'll probably know where you are in your cycle, but how is it making you feel? Do you feel energized? Do you feel quite extroverted? Or do you feel really reclusive? Okay, deep belly breaths. And what we're trying to visualize, what we're doing with this, is we are infusing the womb space, infusing the ovaries, that endocrine glands, with fresh, beautiful oxygen through the breath. And if you're a newbie to yoga, which a few of you have commented there, in fact, do you know what? See, if you're not new to yoga, your mind will wander throughout the practice, but what the trick is to try not let it. So a really good trick for trying to keep yourself just in this present moment on your mat, just you and your mat, is to use the breath to help drag your mind kicking and screaming away from whatever it's thinking about, and just focus on the inhale and the exhale. Inhale and exhale. And it's really good, and it's a really good technique to use. Say if your mind's racing in bed at night and you can't switch off, just focus on the breath. You can count it as well. It's really, really good for that. Okay, so now I want you to really focus on those little pelvic tilts. We're going to start small. So we're literally going to inhale, open the chest, give your chest a big open and tilt your pelvis. So you're creating a big curve at the back and a big openness at the front of the body. And then exhale, a tiny little pelvic tilt that tucks the tailbone under and sort of almost closes the front of the body over. And then keep going with that. Inhale, tilt the pelvis. Exhale, go the other way. What we're doing here is getting all those energies moving in the pelvis. There's loads of blockages in the pelvis, just in terms of tightness of wee ligaments, stagnant energy from sitting at a computer all day, which I'm sure tons of you are having to do, working from home. You just aren't getting the same amount of movement into your body. We're really working to stir up that energy. Okay, and then we'll just slow that down and we'll get the energy moving in a different way. So we're still staying Sukhasana, which is our nice, easy seated cross-legged pose, but now just, if you could for me, just switch your legs so that you're crossing them the different way. All those little subtle things really help to balance out the pelvis. So we're going to do navel circles now. So we're going to bring our hands onto our knees and we're just going to start rocking. Now keep it small to start. I like to do a nice big inhale back and then a nice exhale forward. And then if you could give a little pause for me whenever you're ready and go the other way. Okay, and let's bring it in a little. And then we're just going to come back into a nice neutral Sukhasana that we started with. And then we're just going to take a nice big inhale and lift the hands above the head and bring the palms to meet, each finger to meet the other, and draw that down the side, down the centre, of the body. And then release and inhale, lift, exhale down. Another really good way to tune into the breath. Okay, the next time you lift your hands, don't bring them to meet into prayer pose, just keep them at shoulder width, and then we're just going to gently fold forward. Like, this is not anything massive. We're just bringing the hands to the floor and just feeling that. Now, I don't know about you, but I can definitely feel a really nice gentle stretch in the buttocks into the back of the pelvis. We're just gently warming up here. Okay, back up and a nice little stretch side to side, and then we'll get moving a little bit more. So left hand onto the floor, right hand lifting up and over, and just really reach and anchor down with both sit bones. Okay, so we want the right side not to be lifting and trying to follow this bend over to the sides. We want that to be rooted up and over to the other side. Okay, and back to center. From here, if you're sitting sideways on your mat like me, come and go long ways in your mat, and we're just going to come to a table pose, a nice table pose on our mat. So hands are below the shoulders, knees are below the hips. All right, and then we're going to get your pelvis and your hips moving. I just realised you can't see a thing with this cardigan. I'm just going to have to be cold, but we'll get moving anyway. Okay, so table pose. This is what I call a kriya, a cleansing exercise. So we're going to get the pelvis moving into the hip socket. So we're really going deep into the hip socket. So we're going to lift the right leg off of the mat. We're going to flex the right foot. So a beautiful flexion through the foot, and that knee is lifting. And then just begin to circle the knees. So the right knee is drawing a little circle, and we're now feeling that the pelvis is really moving on that right side. So that hip socket is moving. Keep your breath going. If you've forgotten about it, that's totally fine. But bring it back. Okay, let's come down on this side and come into child's pose. So we're going to take, instead of going straight over to the other side, we're going to take the bum down onto the heels. Let it settle. Don't worry if you can't get the bum all the way down, but aim for that. And then hands just walked out slightly in front, head coming to the floor. And then back up if you can, come into all fours. Over to the other side. We always do the other side. Everything's all balanced, so we're going to flex the left foot and begin to circle it round and round. Now remember, I said I'd give you cues of things to avoid. Now I will give you a cue if it's a posture I think you need to adapt. So don't worry if I don't say anything on the posture, because it means I think it's suitable for whatever stage you're at. Okay, knees to floor, child's pose. Often child's pose feels a little uncomfortable if you're on stimulation drugs. So just if that's the case, make sure you just bring the knees nice and wide. Make lots of room for your tummy, okay? Let it settle in between. Okay, walk your way up, and then we're just simply going to tuck the toes under and then bring ourselves up. We're just coming to a standing forward fold, but a really gentle one. So bringing the feet to hip width, and we're now sort of flopped over, aren't we? And we just stay here. We don't come too deep, but we do drop the head. So gaze between your legs and just breathe nice and deeply. Just open it up. You can even at this point, because it's still the depths of winter and we do need a slower, more steady opening of our practice. You can sway your hips from side to side if you want, just to open up the backs of the legs. Keep your knees nice and soft too. Okay, roll it up, all the way up. We're now standing. Okay, and we're coming to standing pose, right, or Tadasana, mountain pose, which is not just, oh, I'm just standing up, right? There's loads of points to it, and it's really nice to check in with your body. So like we did in Sukhasana, we checked in the loads of different parts of the body. To come to a standing pose is really good as well, particularly I think for a female pelvis. Okay, so come to about hip width, slightly narrower. Okay, if you were to look at a yoga textbook, they would be like quite narrow with the feet, and that's really designed for like men's hips, which is fine for them, but women have a wider hip. So for us to stand so narrow with the feet sometimes can make us feel not rooted, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a sense of being rooted to the ground. Okay, so play around with that, then lift the toes and spread them down. Okay, so when you look down, you should see lovely spread between your toes. And then what we want is like a pressure from the big toe, the wee toe, and the heel, like a plug. Do you know what I mean? Those 3 points of a plug. Push down. If you're in the UK, that is. Different plugs to like a UK plug, okay? Push down. If you really root down with your feet, and you've probably not, engaged them when you're just sort of chilling out and standing, you'll feel your legs begin to engage, don't you? So calves and thighs engage. a little lift of the pelvic floor unless you're menstruating, otherwise just leave it. And then what I want you to check in most with is the pelvis, okay? So what we're looking for is the pelvic bowl, right? They call it the pelvic bowl. And that's what I want you to visualize, like a bowl you'd put like fruit in, but you've got water in it. And we want the pelvis to be nice and neutral, but if we tilt, if you tilted your pelvis like that, the water would spill. If you overcompensated, the water would spill. We want a beautiful, really steady bit. And you can kind of find, if you've been sitting at a desk all day, you might have slumped and you've not realised. And then this is what really helps to compensate that, and it helps the energy to move properly in the pelvis and into the womb. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Then lifting up through the spine and all the way to the crown of the head, and then draw your hands down by your side. Okay, so this sense of rootedness and groundedness is so important just now. We're all a bit stressed, aren't we? We all don't know whether we're coming or going. So this sense of rooting ourselves, and we feel like energy is coming up from the ground with the breath, and then we feel like it's rising through our bodies, and then it's coming back down through the fingers. Okay, so I want to get a little bit more blood flow going into your pelvis, and we're going to do that through a bit of squatting, a bit of chair pose. So the first one we're going to do is chair pose. So I'm just going to turn so that you can see. So you're coming straight from that Tadasana mountain pose, and then you're just going to sweep your hands up and really lift them, okay? So really lift them up. And then we're going to exhale, and we're going to bend the knees. And we're visualising that we've got a wee invisible chair behind us that we're sitting into, but there's not one there, obviously. And we're going to be strong with that rootedness. Now, if I was menstruating just now, this is probably not going to feel the best. It's quite high energy, so I would lift up massively and just do the most gentle one ever, okay? Because what this posture does is it gets blood flow pumping and moving into the pelvis and into your womb. Keep your breath moving here. And then lift and drop your hands, right? So let's open the pelvis now and do something similar. So we're going to go a little wider with our feet now into Malasana. So feet coming out nice and wide. This is Malasana, or goddess squat. Feet about 45 degrees. Okay, so we're going to try and keep the pelvis fairly tucked under, but not that overcompensating way, just a nice neutral pelvis. Bring your hands over your heart, okay? Again, if you're on your period or you're on heavy sort of medication and you're just feeling really sluggish and just too tired, don't go too deep. Nice and gentle. Okay, take a nice big inhale. Then when you exhale, begin to bend the knees. So nice wide knees, and just take the tailbone towards the floor. And you can choose where you want to stop, okay? A full Malasana is like this, taking the sit bones quite close to the floor. But not everybody's got that movement into the pelvis, and that's totally fine. Everyone's different, so just decide where you want to go. Okay, and breathe. Okay, and then rise all the way up. Right, so now walk your feet in. What else did I say I was going to do here? Oh no, it's gone. We're going to move to moon salutes. We always were, but I think I had another one there, but never worry, it's fine. We will just go to our moon salutations, okay? So we do these, if you've been coming, we pretty much do these every week, don't we? And they are really nice to do every week, because I want you to try and maintain some, what's the word? Oh my God. Just remember some of these moves. And if we do these moon salutes every week, they're really nice because they're kind of wee mini yoga practice in themselves, okay? A really lovely way to start the day. And they're called moon salutations and not sun salutations because they're not as strong as your sort of traditional sun salutation. They're more gentle, they're more fluid, they're more feminine. So you'll see what I mean, okay? So there's one of those wee cheer poses incorporated into it as well. So we'll start with that. But we do start in Tadasana like we just did. So do all those little points I said again about anchoring down your feet, engaging your legs, have that pelvis perfectly neutral, push down with the hands. And we don't skip over this posture. This is a real sense of beginning and ending this little vinyasa, and it is really good for just focusing on beautiful posture. Okay, so we are going to inhale and lift the hands up and over the head, and then we're just going to do a nice forward fold. So we're going to fold forward, try and keep the knees soft but not massively bent, folding over. Okay, then we don't spend massively long in each posture. Then we inhale up again, but we lift the hands above the head, but this time shoulder width, down to chair on your exhale. Inhale again, fold over again, standing forward fold. Okay, your next inhale takes you to your next posture, which is a low lunge. So take a step back with your right foot, your hands are on the floor to steady you, take that step back and then drop the knee. Okay, so we're in a nice low lunge. Hope you can see that okay. So my right leg's coming back, the knee isn't directly underneath the hips, it's quite far back to encourage this beautiful openness in the hips. The front knee is above the ankle and it's strong and it's going to stay there, okay? And we can bring our hands back to the floor. So what I quite like to do is give a little rock back and forth, particularly if we've not practiced our yoga in a while or we're new to it. We want to be kind and gentle. We want to open up our bodies, so we want to open the pelvis, warm the backs of the legs. So a wee rock back and forth is really nice for that, okay? And then from this low lunge, we try and get to a down dog, okay? So I would say if this your first time at yoga, I wouldn't be launching into a down dog from here. I would be taking this left foot back, bringing me into a table, and then I would tuck the toes under and I would push into the hands and away and lift up with the hips so that you're a nice inverted triangle, okay? And here again, this is our first down dog, and I've forgotten something to say to you. If you're on your period, let's just give down dog a big body swerve and just stay in that table pose, okay? Sorry about that if you've already come up. Okay, a little walk through the feet, through the knees, and then settle down and then drop the knees. So we're coming back to table. So while we're just in table here, the reason I've said if you're on your period you don't turn to down dog is because that is an inversion, okay? So when you're on your period, you're releasing all the menstrual blood, and we need to support that and encourage it. Whereas if in its energies, it's quite sacred energies, we don't want to flip our bodies and work against that. So that's why, don't panic about it. You've done it, but I'm just saying that's why. Okay, so then we come to table, we take a nice inhale, and then as we exhale, just into child's pose. We come down to child's pose, just for a breath, and then we inhale up, so onto our knees. Nice knee stand now, high up on our knees, a wee engagement into the glutes as well, and I'll lift up above the head, hands to prayer, down the centre line of the body and over our heart, back down table, child's. If you're on your period, stay here for a little bit till I tell you otherwise. If you're not, up the table and back up to downward facing dog. Okay? Right, so I'm just moving forward a little on that because I'm far too far back. So breathe in here for your down dog. So we are going to get into our lunge on the other side, right? So if you're quite practiced at yoga, you could go from here. You could lift up with the right foot and then step it through into your lunge, okay? But otherwise, let's just drop the knees if we're new to yoga. Tabletop is your best friend if you're new to yoga because it lets you transition much easier between postures. Step back, forward with the right foot now. The right foot comes forward. Slide your left knee back and do your little rocks back and forth in your low lunge. So yeah, don't worry about your transitions if you're new to yoga. Just take your time, do what you can do. Your main aim for your first yoga class is to focus on the breath. Focus on that sense of this being a moving meditation. This is no fitness class, this is you. This is your daily meditation, but in moving form, okay? Settle down with those rocks back and forth. Really drop the knee, drop the hips, Feel that lovely openness. And then we're going to make our way to standing forward fold. Now, if you're a newbie, I think you might be able to make this transition. So do another couple of rocks, tuck the left toes under at the back, and then step forward, okay? Keep a bend in the knee to help you. And then we're in standing forward fold, aren't we? So you can straighten the legs slightly if you want. Then we're going to sweep up with the hands and uncurl the spine. We're going to inhale, we're going to lift up, and then we're going to sit down into chair again. You'll be cursing me with this chair pose, won't you? And then inhale, lift, and fold forward again, standing forward fold. And then we're going to sweep up again. This time we lift the hands all the way up. We bring the palms together and then we draw the hands down over the heart. Okay? Feels nice, doesn't it, to link all them together. Let me just quickly check everyone's okay. See if there's any new. Okay, that's a good question. So knees are a big one. Thanks for that question, Kerry. So yeah, some people do have struggles with the knees. So what I'm going to tell you is a couple of wee things. So one thing to do, so you're not going to have two yoga mats, aren't you? Not, but say you had your yoga mat on the carpet, right? And you were fine to kind of do without half of it. If you've got major sort of knee problems, you can get your mat and roll it up like that, so that that becomes super padded. So if I was in my table pose, I've got a cushion for my knees. You can bring cushions in terms of your knees, in terms of going into that squat, the chair, the forward folds. Be kind to them, okay? Be super, super kind. You'll still do beautiful work into your womb space, into your pelvis, if you literally are a tiny little squat and you're just here breathing. So just really be kind, okay? So it is a common complaint with a lot of people. It'd be helpful if you just put a comment as to what postures, and then at the end I'll have a look and see which ones. Don't worry if you can't remember the exact names, but wait till the end, don't disrupt your practice. But cushions, yoga blocks are really good. But I'll type a wee comment at the end, okay? I want to do that moon salute again, guys, if that's okay. Get lots of breath work moving. get lots of blood flow moving. Okay, so we're going to go again, and I'll try not to talk quite so much. All right, Tadasana. Remember your bowl of water. A few deep breaths. Remember your rootedness, your sense of being grounded to the earth. Inhale, lift the hands all the way up, bring them to prayer position. Start to tilt the pelvis, keep your knees soft, fold forward, standing forward fold. I am not bothered about straight legs in a standing forward fold if we're, wrecking ourselves in the process. Inhale, lift again, all the way up, arms shoulder width, sit down into chair. Just for a wee breath. Inhale, lift, forward fold again. This time I want to go with the left foot back first, okay? So step that left foot back, drop the knees, grab a little cushion if you have struggle with your knees. Don't go so deep if your knees are struggling, okay? You can do your little rocks back and forth again. Opening the pelvis, warming up the muscles. Okay, then settle down. Remember I said we go to down dog from here, so if you've got a good practice, come to down dog from here. Otherwise, table pose, spreading the fingers, tucking the toes under at the back, pushing up, lifting up with the hips. Okay, so a couple of points in your down dog again. This is by no means a plank, okay? We don't want to be seeing shoulders stacked over the wrists, okay? This is much more of a passive posture than a plank, so we move the body weight away from the wrists, meaning that we open up the armpits and we open the chest. Drop down with the knees, table pose. Inhale, exhale, child's pose. Inhale, up on your knees, knee stand. Inhale, lift, hands to prayer. Exhale, down the center line. Back to table. Inhale, exhale, child's pose. Inhale, back to table. Have a little pause, a turn of the breath. Next inhale, down dog. Okay, then we are going to be going into our lunge on the other side. So our left foot is coming forward. If you've got a good practice, sweep your foot forward to do that. If we're all taking it a bit slow, we drop the knees first, then step the foot forward. And even that step forward might be not be in one big sweeping motion. You might want to just baby steps till you get to your low lunge. Okay, then we're going to do that little rock, and then we're going to step it forward, standing forward fold. Then we're going to uncurl up to our chair. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, down to chair. Inhale, lift. Exhale, standing forward fold. Uncurl up. Then do what we call upward salute, which is where we sweep our hands up and we bring our hands together and draw down the center line of the body. Okay, so we're going to stay standing, do one more standing posture, then we'll get towards the floor. Okay, let me just have a little sip of water. Let me just quickly check everyone's all right. How long does this last for? I've just seen it last till 7:30, but I always go over. Sorry. Okay. Must have missed that one. Okay guys, so I want to do eagle pose. So this is called Tadasana. It's a really nice one for relieving tension in the shoulders, to be honest. And it's a balance as well if we add the legs. You don't have to add the legs, right? So if you're not feeling particularly balanced tonight, don't add the legs. Just feel the wonderful stretch through the arms and the shoulders, right? So, yeah, we'll do our arms first, okay? And that way, if you just want to stay there with the arms, just stay there. If you want to add the legs, okay? So, take your right hand, right, across the body, so it's like totally vertical with the palm facing the side. Then take your left hand with the palm facing down, okay? So we're getting ready here to create a bind. We're going to zip up our arms together. So what we're going to do is take that left hand underneath the right, as far as we can under, and then bring the backs of the hands and the arms together. If that is too much of a reach for you, just simply hug on to the right shoulder with the left hand, okay? That's fine. If you've got a more advanced practice, you want to zip them up a little more, then take your left hand to the right palm, okay, the right hand. So whatever you've done there, how blissful does that feel in between your shoulder blades, doesn't it? Especially if you sat at a computer all day or in a car. Rolling the shoulders down and keeping them sort of quite rolled down, okay? Now we're going to add the legs if you want to add the legs. So remember your pelvis. I want to talk to you about your pelvis again. We want to keep it neutral, and we want to keep it neutral even when we zip the leg. And as you can't see my face, even when we zip the legs up, okay? So we're going to shift your body weight onto the right leg and just sort of bend the left, take the weight out of it and bring it into the ankle, okay? Check the pelvis. I don't want it to have popped away out to the side. I still want it to be nice and neutral, even though you've taken the weight out of the left. Right, that's the first step. Then we're going to lift up with the left leg and try and wrap it round the right calf, okay? This is really hard to do while talking and explaining and remaining balanced. Okay, so nice neutral pelvis. It's not turning, it's nice and neutral. And then lift up with those hands a little. And you can also, if you want, sort of sit down a little more into it. Okay, and release. Really nice into the shoulders, isn't it? I was trying to say something there, but it's going out my head. We're going to go to the other side anyway. Don't be worrying if you couldn't do, that arm thing was like, what is she making me do if you're new to yoga? Because everyone's got different mobility, and that's not something you just launch into. So do you know what's just as nice and much more gentle is just a nice hug onto each shoulder, doing a very similar thing, okay? That's a nice wee hug for yourself. So if that put you right off, do that. The last thing I want to do to people who are trying this out is to put you off, okay? Remember what I said, it's you and your mat, only you, okay? Left hand, right hand out to the side, bring it under, wrap them up, however you want to do it. Then our left foot is our standing foot. Get proper balance, okay? Get nice and neutral with the pelvis. Then lift up and try and make the bend. See, because I can see myself. I hope you've not got a mirror, because I think as soon as you look in a mirror doing these things, you're all over the shop. But do you know what is a really good way to help you balance? Your breath. Focus on the breath. Okay, release. Okay, let's come down to the mat now. Okay, so down onto your mat. Let me see what I had next for you guys. What did I say I was going to do? Okay, so I was actually bringing you into seated posture, but class hands told me I've forgotten one, and it's a camel pose. Okay, so it's kind of halfway between standing and sitting. We're staying high knees, all right? So I'm just going to come sideways. So we're high knees. Our knees are directly below the hips. Okay, nice neutral hips. So we are going to sort of stretch the pelvis. So we're going to be leaning right back here. Let's just be very, very mindful of what we're doing and where we are in our cycle. You can keep it so gentle, okay, but you can go a little deeper, all right? So there's no prizes. I'm not giving out any medals tonight, okay? So the first sort of gentle way to do it is bringing hands onto the small of the back, roll the shoulders down, open through the chest. All right, push in with the tops of the feet. Now the other option, if you don't feel kind of secure enough with the tops of the feet there, you can tuck the toes under. That can be a nice little variation of it, okay? So with the hands on the small of the back, just push the pelvis forward, strong through the thighs and strong through the glutes, and just push that pelvis away. Keep the heart space open. Take your gaze right up and give your throat a nice openness. Jerome is going to show you the deeper version, but I think we'll all just keep it like this tonight. Lifting up, and then let's come to seated, all right? So we're going to move into some seated postures, some seated stretches. The first one I just love for you guys is this Tadasana one, okay? It is cobbler's pose, Tadasana. It's just super for getting into opening up your pelvis, allowing lots of lovely blood flow in. Also brilliant for the heart to womb connection, which you hear me mention a lot. It's in Chinese sort of medicine that they see that meridian between the heart and the uterus is a really, really important channel for fertility, enhancing fertility, okay? And this posture is just lush for it. So again, you can take it as deep or as gentle as you want. And the way we kind of do that is take the soles of the feet together and draw your heels as close into the body as you can. That makes it much stronger. If you're not in the mood to go for a big massive stretch into the hips, then keep your feet out further away from your body. Okay, so make sure both sit bones feel equally weighted. And then we're going to focus on the hips now. So I want you to visualize those two little bones of the hips at the front lifting and rising. Quite subtly, I can't really show you that, but I mean lift it up. And then as you do that, the spine straightens, the chest opens, the shoulders relax. With your hands, I should have mentioned that, you can just hold on to your ankles or you can make a little basket with them and pop them under the feet, whatever rocks your boat. Take the knees towards the floor. Let's not judge ourselves if our knees are way up here. That's just how it is. What's the point worrying about it? Everything's a journey. Deep, easy breaths, drawing the knees to the floor and opening your chest. Don't be closing over that heart space. Keep it open. So shoulder blades together and down. Breathing deeply. Okay, so now we're going to do a wide leg forward fold. So again, it's quite strong into your pelvis. So you're going to take your legs apart from each other and go nice and wide. And guys, I'm sorry, I need to crave and put my cardigan on. Sorry, you'll still be able to see me, but it's too cold. Legs nice and wide, okay? So toes nice and active towards the ceiling, legs nice and wide as you can manage, sit bones nice and engaged with the floor. Again, we lift and lengthen. It's the same as Baddha Konasana. The hips are lifting up. It's like a string through the top of the head, lifting you up. And just chill out here for a little bit till you get used to it. Then we're going to inhale and lift the hands up. And then as we exhale, we're going to start to tilt that pelvis forward and bring the hands out in front. Now, somewhere out in front, guys. Again, if you're not able to fold over very well, let's not worry about it. Let's just keep it, even if your hands are dead close up towards the pelvis. What I want you to avoid is massively curving your spine just so that you can get forward more. We want the spine to be nice and straight. We want the chest to be nice and open, okay? I'm more concerned about your heart space and your nourishing your beautiful heart chakra than I am about any prizes about getting foreheads onto the mat, okay? Walk yourself back up, and then we're going to make our way onto our backs now. A few wee postures on our back. So bring your legs together first and give them a wobble. Quite strong into your hips, so just want to stabilize it and do constructive rest position. So that is coming onto your back, onto your back really, but keep your feet bent, your knees, your feet. I think I say that every single week. Why? Honestly, guys, think I say keep your feet bent every week. I'm clearly never going to stop saying that, am I? Your knees bent, your feet onto the mat. And then just begin to drop down, nice and gently, adjusting down onto your back, okay? So the reason your knees are bent and your feet are on the floor is just takes the pressure off your hips. So it's so restorative, this position. It is lush for fertility. It is just lush for easing menstrual symptoms. Just so nice, okay? So you can bring your hands onto your womb space again, or you can just keep them down by your side. Up to you. A few deep breaths. Okay. I'm going to give a bit of time for those ligaments from the backs of the legs that go up into the pelvis. And we're going to just do a nice gentle reclined big toe pose, but we're going to do a gentle version. So we're going to keep the knees bent, foot on the floor. So we're going to just keep one on the floor. So if we just start with keeping the right foot on the floor and we just step the left leg up, okay? So it's nice and active on the ceiling, as if you're stepping on the ceiling and you're straightening up with the legs. And then with your hands, clasp them, starting off just behind the thigh. You don't want to go any deeper. Okay, and then you're going to use those hands on the thigh just to draw the big toe as if it's coming like behind your head, somewhere towards the floor. I know your movements will be smaller than that, but that's kind of the trajectory. And if that feels pretty okay, then you can bring your hand and maybe bring it behind the calf, and that's fine. If it, I don't want you lifting up with the head and shoulders though. I don't want any There's no core work here in fertility yoga. This is gentle and nourishing for the womb space, okay? So keep the head relaxed and the shoulders down. If that feels okay, then the final reach is to hook your first 2 fingers around your big toe. But again, that is not a target, guys. That's just another option, okay? And then you want to draw the leg behind. So can you feel that on the back of the pelvis, the back of the hamstrings? It feels lush, doesn't it? Breathe it out here. Nourish those muscles. Okay, and then we'll release that side. Alright, just settle that foot, a wee rest back in constructive rest. Okay, and then step the right foot up, and obviously we're going to do the same again. Cat in thigh, calf, maybe ankle, maybe big toe. Just you decide what's good for you, okay? Okay, and drop down with the foot. Okay, so want to do one last posture before relaxation. Always flies, doesn't it? That's 7:30, but I'm not going to skimp on the relaxation, guys, so don't worry about that. I want you to bring your soles of your feet together and open your knees out, splay them out like a butterfly. So this is Supta Baddha Konasana. So do you remember when we were sitting up and doing Baddha Konasana? This is the reclined version. Okay, so now when we were sitting up, we were kind of on our own, drawing our knees towards the floor. Here it's more gravity that's doing that for us, opening up. So can you feel that beautiful openness into the womb space? This is another really, really nourishing one if you suffer from extreme menstrual conditions, heavy periods or painful periods or endo or those type of things, guys. Really, really nourishing. Get a wee hot water bottle on, get lots of pillows under your head, a big blanket all over you, pillows underneath the thighs, and literally you could spend a good 15-20 minutes in this posture. It is wonderfully nourishing for the body. Okay, draw the knees together and get yourself into final relaxation pose or corpse pose. So I'm just going to tell you corpse pose and show you corpse pose before you get up and get your jumper and your socks on and your blanket, okay? So I'm lying on the floor with my legs straight, but my feet are not the width of the mat, but they're definitely not together, okay? So they're wider than that. Hands are down by my side with the palms facing up but away from the body, okay? That's Savasana, that's corpse pose, and that's what I want to get you into now. I want you to keep the warmth in the body when you do this, particularly in winter. I was talking to my ladies in my weekly fertility class about this that just last night. Warm feet, warm womb. So make sure you've got socks on. Make sure you're not getting any coldness into your womb or into your back at the moment, keeping things nice and warm, especially when you're at home, but perhaps you're working from home more, and then, as I was saying last night, your heating can flick off and you're sitting at the computer and you don't realise. So just make a conscious effort to nourish your body at the moment. So while you're getting organised, so a wee jumper on, a wee cushion for under your head, a wee throw. We'll start our final relaxation, will we? All right, so I'm going to even grab my own blanket. Because I don't know if I'd mentioned it's Baltic. I know I've mentioned it about 5 times. I don't like the cold. I don't know if you guessed that. You'll be like, right, we get it, it's cold, there you are. Okay, ladies. And gents, if we have gents doing this. All right, close your eyes. And begin to feel the body releasing to the floor. So now is the time for final adjustments. You can shift and move at this point. You want to make sure you're going to be still and you're going to be settled for the whole of the relaxation. Eyes closed. Not squeezing them shut. A gentleness to the eyes closing. I just realised we have not done any positive affirmations tonight, which is not like me, as you know. We usually have one associated with a fertility journey, but I actually have just a set of 6 that I really like to use, especially if things are a little bit stressful, okay? I'm going to read you them now, and maybe one of them speaks to you, maybe all of them do, and maybe you can say them to yourself as you are settling into relaxation. And your affirmations tonight are: I am peaceful, I am relaxed, I am getting better every day, I have all I need at this moment in time, I am still, I am at ease. I love those ones, and I think they're really powerful, and I think affirmations are really powerful as well. Allow the body to feel the mat. Allow all the points of your body that are touching the mat to feel supported. Draw attention to the breath. Connect up to the rhythm of the breath. If your mind begins to wander throughout the practice, just draw your attention back to the breath and back to the sound of my voice. Allow the limbs to become heavy. So heavy. You feel almost as if they're moving away from you, down into the floor. Make sure your face, cheeks and jaw are relaxed. Try and not clench your jaw, just let it slightly drop. Shoulders drawing down and away. Whole body relaxing, releasing, letting go. Take your imagination to a place far away, deep in the fells. You come across a monastery, remote and secluded. Time has not been kind. It stands weather-beaten and uncared for. No one has remained in this bleak position on the moors for many years. You sit on the grassy bank and look at the dereliction of this once fine place. In places the roof has blown away, windows missing, grass growing out of the walls, paths uncared for, courtyard empty. The gardens are overgrown, the herbs and medicine plants no longer collected. You close your eyes and visualize what it may have looked like many years ago. And suddenly you're aware of the sound of horses' hooves, of dray horses pulling up in the courtyard, carts full of hay, hens clucking, a monk feeding the livestock, quiet humming noise in the background. The monastery's big and fine, the cobbles and paths are well swept. All is tended, the place is alive. Your eye wanders to the walled garden, and you open the wooden door to see silent monks at their labours, the garden divided into three. Flowers, vegetables, herbs. Down the rows, the monks are working in some quiet meditation. The rows of vegetables straight and even. The herb garden is minded by a monk whose face shines outwards towards you. He smiles cheerfully and beckons you over. And as you move among the flowers and herbs, you disturb the smell of chamomile, apple mint, basil, and lavender. The fragrance fills the air. You're now able to see into the herbal kitchen. Many different jars house juices of herbs, seeds, and leaves. Leaves hanging in bunches. There are remedies made up on the wooden bench, awaiting to be taken to the sick room. There are jars of honey, pastes, ointments, all labelled, waiting to be collected. The herbalist asks you if you're in need of any potions or remedies. Visualize yourself explaining your needs, either mental or physical. The herbalist listens. Silently, he takes down a jar and hands you a remedy you trust. And take the medicine. The herbs have a natural ability to heal, to soothe, to comfort. They will gently bring the balance back to your body. Soon, you're back in the silence. Take time to come out of the visualization. Take a few minutes to see if you were in the visualization. You may want to stay in the visualization for longer. You may want to cease the visualization but stay in deep relaxation until your body feels completely nourished and ready to awaken. You may feel ready to do that now. Either way, I'm going to leave you now, okay? I will keep the music going so that if you want to stay longer, you're more than welcome to. Thank you so much, ladies and gents. We have gents. It was so lovely to see you all after so long. Namaste.